Look at these data that I'm going to show, and we're going to walk through it together. The other day, when I watched the videotape of the police in Dayton, Ohio, pulling the young man out of his car, not so young, he was 28, I think, so, but younger than me, a black guy, they pulled him over and said they wanted to search his car, and they wanted to bring the drug dogs in to search. And he can't be in the car when the dogs are going through the car. So he had to get out, and he said, I can't get out, I'm paralyzed. And they said, well, you have to get out. And he's like, I can't, my legs don't work, I'm paralyzed. And they just really demanded that he get out. And they said, well, if you don't get out, we're going to pull you out, right? And essentially that's what they did. And they pulled him out, and they put him on the ground, and they handcuffed him. And, you know, I used to be the advisor to the Rutgers Handicapped Student Organization and the Disabled Student Organization. And so, you know, I know the trauma that would be involved in that. Like, come on. You know, I have a lot of friends who are paraplegic, quadriplegic, so I really get that. And I saw the police doing that, and I immediately wanted to get on the phone to some of my police friends and say, yo, what's going on here? But I know what I would hear from them, right? I would hear that some of them would be really pissed at the police, and some would say, well, yeah, but they followed directions and they followed procedures, and others would say, yeah, but, you know, it just would be sort of all over the place, right? But they would all agree that that was actually quite a problem. Nobody ever asked the police, right? So we often have no idea what the police think and what they say, right? But I asked the police, so I actually have kind of a window into this. But I want to walk us through here and we're only going to look at small parts of this, right? And what's going on, because you all are aware that we've had in some ways the largest uprising, people in the streets that we've ever had in the United States. More, you know, after the death of George Floyd. Which one could say the murder of George Floyd. And by the way, you should know that I was once in a room with 30 police officers, and every one of the 30 police officers, I referred to it as the death of George Floyd, and they said it wasn't a death of George Floyd, it was a murder of George Floyd, right? I just want to complexify that a little bit. I'm saying death just because I said death, and they said it wasn't death. The cop killed him. So the police are saying that cop killed him. So understand that it gets but after that happened, we had an uprising here in the U.S., more people in the streets than we had during the Civil Rights Movement, you know, in more cities and more activity. And so, I mean, you know, you have this idea in the Civil Rights Movement, the whole country was in the streets and protesting, and that was not the case. So this is big. All right, can you go next slide? And I'm going to get to you all, and we're going to get there in a second, so just we're all good. One of the things that's really unfortunate in this conversations we've been having about the police and race and racism is that we've all balkanized, and this is what happens. You know, we make teams. People make teams, and the more people are I don't know, for whatever reason, we just make teams. I don't know why the hell we have to make teams, but we do. And because we're at war, basically. My wife would say we're at war, and so we make teams because we're at war, and we are at war. And so people got to jump on some team. So it's like Black Lives Matter, and so then suddenly we have Blue Lives Matter, and then White Lives Matter. And I don't know, you know, all lives matter, and life matters, and like, oh my God, right? And so once we start making teams, it's like we stop listening to something that the other team might be saying. And for the most part, if you really listen to each one of these teams, if you sat down and thoughtfully, instead of just the ones that are like yelling and screaming and calling the other team names, if you actually listen to what their concerns and their fears were, probably you would all agree that, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Not all of them, right? But not every one of their concerns, but people have concerns, and the concerns make, you know, there's something there always below.